Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's fire episode of Breakfast with Boom. And of course, I'm your host, Mr. Boomstick XL. And as you can see by the title of the show, it is going to be very heavy Sony focused. They have been pulling the wool over the eyes of the communities that support the brand, and we are going to break that streak today and talk about everything that went on after the big PlayStation event. And quite frankly, some of the stuff it would be considered in many circles egregious. Some people are on this panel are going to use the word bamboozled. Liar is going to be a word that's going to be thrown around. For the players, with the asterisk not for the players is going to be thrown around. And again, folks, we're not looking to do this for clicks. We're looking to talk about maybe changing the industry. And the only way you change the industry is if you speak about a problem. And there's, quite frankly, a lot to speak about. And as you can see, we have an all-star cast. So let's get into introductions. And we're going to start with one of our regular panel members. You know him as someone with the best voice in podcasting. He is a Gears 5 expert and someone not afraid to tell it like it is. Please welcome Crispy Bomb.
Oh, good morning. This is gonna be good. Slow-mo just coming in real quick. He's like, yeah, I gotta get on this. Sean D, yeah, let's go. King David, I know you're ready. I'm ready. Let's call it like we see it. Call it like it is. Let's get into it.
Well, yes, and thanks so much for being here. As you can see, we some of the regular panel members can't be here today. Mr. Badbit will be joining us shortly. He's running a little behind. We have to also let you know that Dreadpool had work. Obviously, work comes before a silly podcast, so he'll be back next week. And we just have to extend our condolences to our very good friend BitCloud. He is dealing with some family situation that came up. So of course he will be missed because obviously we respect his opinion and I enjoy having him on each and every show, but he will be back next week. So of course we are going to once again extend our condolences to his family. And of course, let's continue with the introductions and someone that needed to be here because obviously if he would have been new to the community on Wednesday's stream on the Iron Lords podcast, he would have been brought onto late night TV because his antics and his speech and what he talked about, how he represented himself was some of the best work I've ever seen. Please welcome the world famous now, King David. What's going on, dude?
Ooh, boy. Sort of like a prophet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're gonna get into how you have been. You have been. What was the word that you used when we were in the private chat?
Elated. Elated. I feel exhilarated. It's so many of those words that make you float up. I feel like I'm just walking on sunshine.
Don't start singing it, dude.
No, I ain't got that one. In me. But I definitely. It hates to be right sometimes. I hate to be right sometimes. But I try to just tell people, look out for that brick. It's gonna fall. And they be like, "What brick, man? Shut up. There's no brick." Boop. That brick.
I love being right. You better than me. When I'm right, I tell everybody.
No. I love being right to certain people. Yeah. I don't like being right to people that have hope and belief in something with their whole heart. I don't like little Timmy with tears in his eyes. But the dude with malice in his heart, the dude that comes at me on Twitter all the time, the dude that tells me shut the hell up because I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm not a developer, that dude, I like being right to him. But then I do it and I'm right with a smile because I knew you was wrong before that. I was just trying to be a person to correct you, to put you on the right path so you can stop saying dumbness. But you came at me wrong. So for all those people that's blocked that I can't see your comments and I can't see your tears.
Well, you know what? There's going to be a lot of laughter on this particular episode of Breakfast with Boom. So get ready. If you're get your coffee, get your bagel, bacon, egg, and cheese, and sit back and get ready for a laugh riot. But you know what? We're going to bring the knowledge, and in order to bring the knowledge that's going to make this a respectable conversation, we have two other gentlemen here that are, in my opinion, some of the best content creation members of this community that you need to sub. And we're going to start with Slow-Mo. Slow-Mo, obviously, you are known for being on the Basement Radio Arcade podcast, but you should also be known as your new venture with my very good friend, Gaming Forte, where it's a one-on-one duo show that you guys do, as well as your own outstanding and, quite frankly, lots of content that's been coming to your channel. Welcome to today's show, and thanks so much for being here.
Hey, thank you for the invite, Boom. I always enjoy coming on Breakfast with Boom. It just gives me more incentive to get my iced coffee on deck, get in here, start talking this gaming topics, and man, we got some stuff to talk about. Like I'm seeing a lot of flip-flopping from certain people on stances, and it just seems like they're always quick to say that one side is always changing their thoughts or narratives based on what executives say or do, but then now they're doing it too, and I'm just like, hey, well, a month ago you were talking like a completely different tune. What's happening here? But yeah, let's get into it, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here as always. And Sean D, man, let me tell you something. I don't know what magic you bring with you, but every time that you happen to be on one of these special edition shows I do at night, that it's not normally primetime gaming, it seems to hit records for me personally. We are just about to cross 8,000 views for the Wednesday evening coverage of the Sony show, and that is big for a channel that only has 5,000 subs. So I mean, obviously, when you can go past your sub count and have people enjoy the content, it is it's gratifying. So to have you on today's show, where we get to really dissect some of the things that went on well after the event, it's great to have you on, Sean D. Welcome.
Hey man, no problem. I will be your lucky rabbit's foot if you need me. As long as I'm not at work cutting buildings in half, I'm here. I love talking with you guys. This topic, I'm loving it because I know some people get mad at seeing people flip-flop. I smile. It's just funny to me, man, because you can't change people the way they think.
Mm-hmm.
You get that out your head. But just to see how they were going crazy ham, like, oh, you guys ain't got nothing. Your stuff is held back because of this and that. And then now to go and see them be like, well, I mean, it's good. I mean, there's going to be hundreds of million people still on PlayStation 4, man.
Mm-hmm.
This is only a good move. I don't see what the problem is. And you just like, bro, I've been there. Where were you? You're here because you have to be. Because you're busy spouting off what the executives are saying, how it ain't generations matter. It's time to go to the next spot. So I'm just enjoying it, man. I'm just sitting back laughing.
The one thing about the internet that's fantastic, it could be a curse or it could be a blessing. A lot of people will say. And the reason why I say that is because when you make a statement on social media, it's very easy to go back and find that. And we're going to be bringing up some of the, like King likes to say, Jim Dancing Shoes Ryan's comments from earlier in the year, and then some of the comments that he talked about that were 100% different and pulled a 180 in interviews that he did right after the event. And with and again, what's interesting is there's no context. There's no explanation for the turnaround other than the fact that we can use the word, he's just a straight stone cold faced liar. And we're going to get into that. But you know what? We something I've added new to the program is called Bits and Bytes. And what this is a smaller topics that we get into before we blow the roof off of this particular show. And the first bits and bytes topic is obviously, PlayStation Nation on Wednesday was treated to lots of great looking games and a ton of PlayStation 5 news that we've been all waiting for, because we're all going to buy PlayStation 5s. Again, if you can find one, which we're going to get into that. And for me, I give the show a solid 8. I might have moved to an 8.5, but there were a few things that were left out of the conversation that I thought needed to be discussed and weren't. So I give the show a solid 8. But why it fell off of a cliff for me is because of Jim Ryan's lies and his deceitfulness that was exposed and put many big time YouTubers on the wrong side of the conversation for the right reasons. And Young Ye is another one. He called them out. We've had I can read a list as long as my arm, and I have long arms, of how many people from the content creation community have called out Sony. What's interesting, and what I'm waiting for and have not yet seen of this show, is the gaming media coming to talk about what Sony did as being wrong. Now, I'm going to say this, folks, and you can take this however you want. If this would have been Phil Spencer and Microsoft, the world would have cracked open. Okay, and every major media outlet would have been running stories about how Phil Spencer is a liar. He's got to lose his job. Let's remove him from office. You name it, there would have been a story about it. And again, as of this show, we got to call a spade, folks. That has not happened in mainstream media. Now, this is, you can equate this to maybe Sony having people with some deep pockets. I don't know. I mean, you can use any analogy you want. But let's get into the first topic. Now, one of the things I believe that's truly going to sting, if you are a fan of backwards compatibility and was hoping to see the future, the past come to the future of your PlayStation 5. In a sit-down interview with Famitsu, Jim Ryan has just confirmed that the PlayStation 5 will not have compatibility with the PlayStation 3, 2, or 1. So all of their legacy games that you may or may not have in disc will not be playable. Now, listen, I want to just make sure that I highlight this, just so we have an understanding. I understand that it's unlikely that someone is going to pop in Twisted Metal 2 to play on their PlayStation 5. But see, the difference is, as a consumer who purchased these games, whenever you purchase them, you deserve the right to play that game if you want. Now, you can, for the most part, play almost every Xbox One game, a tremendous library. I believe it's upwards in 300 and 400. It may even be more. It could be 500 Xbox 360 games and a ton of Xbox One games on your Series X that, oh, by the way, are going to be enhanced. For instance, something like Fusion Frenzy is going to get a boost in graphics, and that game came out in 2001? So Microsoft, being forward thinking, needs to be applauded. Now, again, not the biggest topic of the day, but King, I want to go to you first on this. Backwards compatibility, not important for Jim Ryan and Sony. And again, many people can suggest, King, that we were kind of led down a path where they had talked about potentially PlayStation 3, 2, and 1 games, but then pulled the rug out from its fans. Lie number one. What are your thoughts on this?
First, I would like to say to my one of my greatest friends, Lord Sovereign, whenever you want to send the knees over, I got the shea butter right here.
We love Sovereign. We love Sovereign.
He knows I love him to death. And he knows for a very long time I don't make bets that I don't think I can win.
That's a true businessman, by the way, King.
Exactly. First, I knew Jim Dan Smooth Ryan was going to do exactly what he did. Now, when Mark Cerny stood up there and he showed you Generations, he was explaining to you guys Generations and where it was leaps and bounds in the PlayStation's lineage. That's it. People saw PlayStation 1, 2, 3. They're going to support all of us, man. We're getting that back to Pat, and we're going to do it better than Microsoft. The great Bill Stillwell says no. Because he and his fabulous team that did back to Pat they move mountains. See, you guys wouldn't understand what it is if you only play in PlayStation's world. You don't know what it is to play an older game that's enhanced. Because I was trying to explain it to Christopher Hart what enhanced means, and he thinks that you put it in and it's boosted the resolution. No, it is far beyond just boosting the resolution. The game looks like fixed. If it was at a different frame rate, the frame rate wasn't right before. If it was no anti-aliasing there, a lot of things is fixed. These games look fantastic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like a totally different world, and it's a beautiful thing to see. And I love the way Microsoft does it. So, of course, if that's a strength of yours, you talk about it. And if Sony doesn't have a strength in that area, you can fake a strength. And that's what they've been doing during this whole time. But Jim, Dan Smooth Ryan, has always been behind nobody plays back compat. Nobody does this. So why would we put energy there?
Who plays old games?
Nobody for him. He's all about the new. He's all about the now. He's all about the what's happening. And all you guys that are collectors that like to go out and get the box sets and keep your old systems. I told somebody the other day because they had all 8 systems stacked up. And I said, that's the same way that you're going to be able to play your back and pack games. Stack them systems up and bring it out the closet. Bring your PlayStation 1 out the closet. Go back into your games because that's not a concern for them. And I don't like being right in this area because you should be able to take whatever investments, because these are investments that you've made. You took your hard-earned money, you put it in one place, you hope that it kept value. They devalued you.
Mm-hmm.
They took your money and said, thanks, sucker. Now, we won't be going forward. And some people will stand on this, that back and pat stuff that hold us back. They taking research and development to worry about the past. They should just be worried about the future. I want VR everywhere.
It's whole different departments, man. Like they act like the resources of the 14 PlayStation studios are going to be working on back-a-pat. That's not how it works. It's a whole different,
whole separate team that does that.
Right.
That's why Microsoft is able to test. If you remember when you they said that we've tested what 3,000. They have like 50,000 hours worth of testing.
Mm-hmm.
Is ridiculous the amount of time but that is a whole separate division that works on the backwards compatibility.
It doesn't take away from your consumer if you're giving your consumer more, right?
Yeah,
you're keeping a segment of your fan base, of your community happy. A segment of your community that will purchase your next box knowing the information. I told you going into that show was 4 things that I wanted from the show. One of the 4 things I wanted to know their back and patch strategy. Now, I saw some PlayStation 5 collection thing, and that was a little ambiguous. That's something I'm pretty sure that they're going to tack in and charge you some type of way for you to be able to play only PlayStation 4 games that will not be enhanced. They'll just be, PlayStation 4 games that you can get the benefit over there. Fine. That's cool. I'm not asking you to move mountains. I'm not asking you to do anything other than just support your fan base. Now, to hear that PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 1 will not even be attempted, we don't even care. If you want that, go to eBay and purchase an old system and put your disc in. If your optical died, if something happened, there's no options for you. And that's kind of, it sucks that fan, that Sony dude, the one with the hat, the one with the scarf, the one with the shirt, is still every year getting shafted and shafted. My question is, when are you going to look up and see that there are other viable options and other companies that value your dollar? And yeah, you know, you're going to say, you have Microsoft Shield. No, I have everything.
Yeah,
while you're sitting there upset that you don't have a PlayStation, I got 4. I'm trying to get 6 more because I'm trying to sell them and buy an Escalade. I want an Escalade. I want to get rid of my truck because I got it. And I just, you got a beat up truck? No, I don't. I have a 2018 Suburban.
Good on you, man.
I want the 2021 Escalade, and I can get it off of the backs of Sony fans, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to go into the store with a Sony hat, because I'm selling them for $3K each. Listen, hit me up. $3K each one. I'm going to have my Sony hat, my Sony shirt, and a Sony scarf, and I'm gonna record everything, and I'm going to give them $30K in cash.
But do you have a Sony gold chain is what I really want to know.
That'd be taken away from paying for the truck.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I can do? I can get a fake chain, like they fake 4K.
Yeah.
Shout out next.
Not the fake not the 4K.
Yeah, the 4K. The 4K. The checkerboard K.
Yeah. Well, listen. Again, as always, King, completely 100% right. I mean, obviously, all jokes aside, what we need to do is understand how. What you're saying is the truth. How they treat their fans is wrong, and I'm a fan because I bought the big boy, and I had to pay $100 more than the digital because I don't want to be painted into a corner because I actually have discs, and like we talked in the pregame, I don't buy everything right away. Again, when you're retired, you got to manage your money a little bit better, and sometimes I don't get everything like I used to. So now I wait for buy 2 get 1 free GameStop sales, or or for prices to drop in Target or Walmart or Best Buy, whatever. Slow-mo, are you back, brother? Oh, he might have.
Yes, I'm definitely here. What's up?
All right, let me just catch up on some of the super chats. I'm going to bring you in on this particular topic. First of all, our very good friend and a very generous friend of the show, Smitty Smith, drops the first super chat of the day, and he says, "Now, people, do you see how Sony treats its fans? They just have been baptized in the lake of lies, the book of X." And salutes in the panel and chat. Well, thank you, brother. Really appreciate that. We have Crazy Horse, who brings in an outstanding, very generous $5 super chat. Says, "King about to stomp out these ponies." Indeed he is. Smitty Smith drops another super chat. Thank you for your generosity, brother. He says, "Good Lord, did you see how fast those SSDs loaded up pre-orders?" What? You don't surprise mechanics. The book of X. Thank you for that, bro. That's funny. Kay Asante, a very good and generous friend of the show, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "Salute, King. How many PS5s were you able to score?" I got 3. Jim Ryan is the Don Matrix of Sony, and their fans need to keep calling them out. Listen, I have seen a lot of people that were that had not enough people have called out Sony for this. I'm going to be honest with you, but we're going to see again. The next couple of days are going to be very interesting. Thank you for being here, Kay Asante. Super appreciate it. JD Gamer, another generous friend of the show, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "I'm not giving this show an 8. None of that. They lied. Liars get 0. How do you know what they showed me this time isn't another lie?" Listen, I mean, you got to ask the question. Fastback OG, a very good friend of the show, drops an outstanding $5 super chat. Says, "Good morning, Breakfast with Boom. Xbox Series X day 1. Love how Xbox is going into the next gen. Sony brings great games, but they are stumbling into next gen." He drops another $5 super chat. Says, "Crap, J-Dub, ponies, quiet. You don't get to speak out and hear." Hold on a sec. I'm sorry about that. JD, chat just jumped up on me. You don't get to speak out and hear spreading FUD when you were wrong. You don't get to hide. I want them knees, all of them. Yeah, I think right now they're in the emergency room. getting bandaged up because their knees just got chopped off. All of them. Robert Olson, a very good friend of the show, drops an outstanding $5 super chat, says, Jim is kind of right. If you don't offer back compatibility, no one will play old games. Sean Carpenter, a good friend of the show, drops a $2 super chat, and shout out to King New Escalade. Bounty Boom drops a $2 super chat. He is our channel member and also a very generous friend of the show. He says, good morning, panel. Well, good morning to you. And this is a good one. A $20 super chat, not the money, the name. J-Dub is a shill. Drops a $20 super chat and says, I'm putting him out. I'm putting a hit out on J-Dub. Well, don't do that for real. Any info leading to his knees will be a ghosted PS5 pre-order. And JD Gamer drops another $2 super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, ponies don't accept lies, ask for more. And that's true. So, Slow-Mo, listen, again, we have a lot to cover, and this is one of the smaller topics. Again, I don't think there was going to be people lining up to play PlayStation 3 games. I get that. I understand that that's probably not why you're buying a PlayStation 5. But the fact of the matter that has been removed without any say-so is a little disappointing. What are your thoughts on this? Jim Ryan confirming this to Famitsu.
Well, I'm shocked because I was told by insiders, PlayStation insiders, that we were going to get backwards compatibility all the way back to PlayStation 1. I mean, they've been talking about it all year long. I mean, it just, hey, watch out, it's coming. Hey, they got a show coming in 2 weeks. Okay, not 2 weeks, 2 more weeks. Okay, not in 2 more weeks, 1 more month. Hey, it's coming in May. No, it's not. All right, my bad. It's coming out. Like, it's just like, yo, are you an insider, or are you just kind of throwing stuff against the wall?
Yeah.
Like, what's happening here? Shout out to some of these guys, double down, and right, like they just like, no, look. Even though the CEO, even the guy that runs the company, the division, says that it's not happening. I'm telling you, it's happening. Okay, and hey, maybe they've been backtracking on so much stuff. Maybe that's true, but I doubt it. I really do. It's not coming. You're not getting backwards compatibility back to all those games. It's unfortunate, especially if there are some games back there that you really want to play. Like I like Xenogears from PlayStation.
Xenogears is an OG classic, dude.
Oh man, that was such a great RPG, and I would love to play that again in this blocky glory. Maybe that's a little bit of nostalgia goggles on, so sue me. But I would love to play that again, and it would be great to play it because it will run perfectly on PlayStation 5. But it is what it is, and yeah, sure. Like most people don't play old games. I've always kind of chalked it up to we all have our collection of older games that we'll always go back to. It doesn't matter how old it is, how ugly it looks on your OLED. You're still going to play it because that's your game. That's like, for me, I got Chrono Trigger on literally every single device it's available on. I got it on my cell phone. I got it on my toaster. I got it on everything, right? I don't care how ugly it is. I'm gonna keep playing it. That's just one of my games.
A lie, because if people didn't play back-to-back games or older games, then why are they selling these vintage mini consoles?
There you go. That's a great point.
No. What I'm saying is that
I'm talking about. I'm just going at Jim Dance moves. Keep going.
Oh yeah. People like their older games that they may not like the entire catalog. But you got like a handful of games that it doesn't matter what time of day it is, what year it is, what's going on. It could be 2083.
Yeah,
you're gonna go back and play Jade Empire because that was the game for you, and it resonated with you at a certain period of time in a certain way, and it doesn't matter how old it is. And so, having that available to you, regardless of how many people are doing it, is important. It's why on PC you can just play whatever you want, whenever you want, and you don't have to worry about it. And that's something that PC gamers love to enjoy, that freedom, and that's something that we starting to see more of on the console side of things, and it's great that Xbox is doing that. You want to see PlayStation doing that too.
Yeah, I'll tell you this: a particular game for me that is just will always, regardless of what year we're in, regardless of whether I'm 80 years old from 30 some odd years from now when I could barely hold a controller, right? Metal Gear Solid is a big Sony game for me because to me it's what made the PlayStation. Besides what they had so many great games, but for me, the two that stand out, Resident Evil 1, which obviously if you tried to play now, it would be very difficult. But Metal Gear Solid still is an amazing game. I like to pop in that game every now and again. I can't do it on my PlayStation 5. I can't even do it on my PlayStation 4. But I have a PS1. I have these things in storage. But the fact of the matter is that what Microsoft has done outside of the 100 things that they've been done right for going into the next generation, Sony has not, and this is one of them, and it's very unfortunate. And again, if you remember the slideshow that Mark Cerny had before he asked for people's ears, there was a space there where it looked as if they were going to surprise everyone and say, yeah, PS3, PS2. There was enough room in there to kind of throw those in there. They obviously never materialized because either the system can't do it or it's not important to Sony. Crispy, I want to get your very candid opinion about this again, because the running narrative for Sony fans, because they don't have it, is that who plays old games? Who wants to play old games when you can play Last of Us 2? You know what I'm saying? And I get new games are great, and I get their first party games are great. But the fact of the matter is that this is an option not available for one brand, but highlighted for another. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, you gotta understand something here. There are many games at this point that are trilogies or series or any type of aspect like that. There are games that are just gold in gaming world, and you're not allowed to play them on PlayStation at all, and that's pretty sad. I know a lot of people that go and say, oh, one day my son was watching me play Gears of War and now we're going through the whole series all over again, or my kid was really interested in Halo Infinite, so we started going through all the Halos. And that's something that Xbox gives you the opportunity to do. Is it for every game? No, we got licenses, everything else. And we could understand if PlayStation couldn't do everything. We don't expect that. But you have such great exclusives that are trilogies that are, at least have multiple games out there, and they span generations, and you're telling your customer you can't touch it? I mean, I understand they don't look as good. I mean, you should be able to do what Xbox does and enhance the games. A lot of people don't realize how good Halo Reach looks from the 360 generation. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't realize that even, because they did a little remaster on Gears Ultimate Edition, Gears 3 and Gears 2 still hold up to this day. Yep. And they look even better. Yeah. And, Xbox doesn't quite have the span generation as PlayStation does. They started a gen late. But so how can't you help those games? You're just going to keep selling the same games to people. It doesn't make sense to me. And I know, okay, maybe the disc won't work in there. All right, but maybe they'll read the disc and then you'll get it for free digitally. You could do all kinds of stuff. This is an age of technical innovation. Like, clearly the R&D involved was Microsoft, probably spent a lot of money on it. And you could see it in spades now because people are just loving these games that you just have there, and they're there, and they look a little better, and they run a little better, and you can go back with your son who's never played any of these games, or your daughter, and it's one of those things that it's just great for gaming. It's good for the consumer, and it's an option. Yeah. And I don't see enough PlayStation guys, quotes, coming out here with the pitchforks out like we would do to Phil. Probably be like, come on, man, what you doing? Mm-hmm.
Again, it's a double standard in how this market is perceived. And it's very unfortunate because again, I really hate going, this versus that. I don't like to do that. I like to be very objective. It's what I built this channel on, but in situations like this, you gotta call them out. And again, I think that every one of us would proudly admit that if this was Phil and the team at Xbox doing exactly this, we would be up in arms, and we as fans of the brand would have to be the front runners to say, wait a second, this is wrong. Okay, I'm still buying a PlayStation 5. I'm not buying an Escalade. I'm buying my PlayStation 5, right? King is going to have multiple PlayStation 5s for his family and himself.
Oh, no,
Slow-mo.
not for my family. No.
No,
I
just for
only
you.
got one space heater. I'm only keeping one space heater. All right. And let me tell you something. From what they showed in that show, I just might not keep no space heater. If I can sell if I can get 10, I'm selling 10, and we with this Escalade. But and I can play Spider-Man on my PS4. I can wait. I don't care about that.
I mean, that's true.
That.
That's true. I mean, that's definitely true. But you know what, Sean D, let's bring you in on this particular topic. Again, not the biggest one of the show, but I think it's worthy of a conversation. Backwards compatibility, super important to Phil Spencer, super important to the team at Microsoft, because they're just not allowing you to bring your games over. You're bringing your games with you, and you're bringing your controllers. You're bringing your headsets. You're bringing everything with you, and the games are getting advanced. They're going to use the power of the console to its advantage. Whereas Sony, you can't bring your controllers, right? You can't bring your peripherals. You can't bring any of your games. And backwards compatibility is not even a conversation. Are you disappointed?
Yeah, of course I'm disappointed. Why would I want to have to spend more money? But I was talking to JD in the chat, and he brought up whether or not Demon Souls was a remake or a remaster. And I let him know that it was a remaster. And that kind of gave me an epiphany. Have you noticed that basically every back compat that Xbox has done is essentially a remaster?
Yeah, pretty much for free.
It's a remaster for free.
Yeah.
Why the hell would Sony do that? That was like their bread and butter during the beginning of PlayStation 4. They would constantly come out with remasters and sell them again at full price. They're doing it right now with Demon Souls. Demon Souls is coming out at $70 remastered. $70. And we all talked about it. We said, what did you get from Demon Souls? I was like, it's not ugly, but the gameplay looks dated. So you about to sell this game for $70 for something that they prettied up. And I mean, I'm not a Demon Soul fan. I said it to my buddy. He was super excited for it. I said, I don't think anybody's buying this minus the people who already played this game and loved it from back in the day. It's not something that, I got to get this now. Basically, what I'm saying is, I don't see Sony wouldn't do it because it's gonna infringe on a profit they can make down the line. They can go back to the PlayStations 1, 2, and 3 and pull out old games and make remasters of them and sell them at full price again, and people will buy them. Versus actually setting aside a whole team to simply basically make remasters for free. It just doesn't fit in their model. Yeah, Xbox is really going for this. If you constantly just give value to the customer, you're going to build up brand loyalty.
Yep.
And they are not going to go anywhere. When the price of Game Pass eventually goes up, when it goes up, you can be like, what took you so long? Here, take the money.
Yeah.
It's been way worth more than this.
Yeah.
It's just two different models.
No, it is. And it's also two different directions when it comes to how you treat a customer. Right. And I got news for you. This F up, as I'm calling it, could not have come at a worse time for Sony, because they want people to buy their console. They want people to invest in the future. And, a $399, $499 price point, when you look at the other side of the aisle and what they're giving you for the money. First of all, the $499 Xbox versus the $499 PlayStation 5 is the power delta is not to be believed. It's significantly better. You're getting a monster PC. And I'm not saying that the PlayStation is a weak system. I'm saying that compared to the Xbox Series X, it is the weaker console. And then when you compare the price point of view for the $399 digital PS5, yeah, it's a monster. It's a powerful console. There's no doubt about it. $399 for just without a disc is great. But when you look at what Microsoft is doing, having the power narrative puts them at the top of the list. But also coming into the conversation is the power. The price narrative at $299 versus $399, and in that conversation, besides everything you're getting with Game Pass and Project X Cloud and Xbox Live, the backwards compatibility is unbelievably different, where we don't even know, even after this show, with only 6 or 7 weeks to go before we get to pick up these consoles, we know what Microsoft is doing in backwards compatibility, because they were out there. They've done videos. They've done Xbox Wire has had tons of articles explaining what they're doing and how they're doing it. Sony, nothing. And you know what? Let's move on. Let's segue into the second topic. And King, this is where the laughs are going to come out. But before I get to your laughing, because I quite frankly like it, let me just thank a couple of people that dropped super chats in here. First of all, our very good friend of the show, Eric the Red, drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says Sony needs to go on Murray because they lie so much.
That's funny.
You are not the father, Sony.
Hey, can I just say something real quick before you?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Sean D was saying that it was a remaster for Demon Souls. I think Blue Point said they actually rebuilt it from the ground up as a remake. So it's the same game, but it is I haven't
remake.
Played the original
remake as opposed to a remaster.
I don't like the From Software games, so I don't play those games.
I wasn't buying it anyway.
I was going to pass on it regardless. But
if it is a remake, then that just takes a point away from it, man. I mean, if it's a remake, why don't you take some of the newer Dark Souls elements and that are tried and true and add it to the old game to make it better? Because when I looked at it, I was like, this is boring.
Well, we don't know until we actually get a hold of the game. Because,
right.
You know, I felt the same way with the Final Fantasy. What I was explaining with Final Fantasy is that you can't have that be game of the year, and it was already a blueprint that it followed to get there. You know, I feel that a games of the year should be original thoughts, and remakes and remasters, they all have their place, and it's up to the public to pay for them. You know, and as long as you're going to keep paying for them, the companies should do exactly what they're doing. There's different strategies in getting to that apex, but Microsoft chooses to go at a different route and save more money and put more value here, while Sony decides to go at it a different route. It shows the console, though. I'm not going to lie, that game did show the console, though. It showed what it can do. It showed the animations. It showed the atmosphere. It showed the lighting effects. It showed the HDR. It showed the fluidity. So if I was going to get a game to showcase it, that would be the game that I would get to showcase it. But is it a game that appealed to me? Not at all.
Right.
No, I agree with King, except for that slander for my Final Fantasy VII remake, sir. It's game of the year.
I did that to you. I did that because you were here.
I know.
I did that for you.
But no, yeah, I agree with King though. Like I kind of liken it to these rumors for the Mass Effect trilogy remaster. I've always felt like as soon as it's announced, I'm getting it like a second later,
of
like
course
a
you are.
millisecond later.
Of course you are.
And I can't wait to play it. But I do want a remaster for Mass Effect 1 and a remake for Mass Effect 1.
I agree.
Just a remaster for the 2 and 3, because 2 and 3 hold up very well. I've been playing through them again, as I usually do. But Mass Effect 1 has such a convoluted inventory system, and the cover shooting is abysmal.
It is bad. Yeah.
And then going to those random completely desolate copy paste planets and just driving around that stupid rover. No, like some of that stuff needs to kind of be cut, redone. You know, like they can work with some of those things. So like a remake of that would be great. And sometimes when the game is that old, you gotta kind of do a little bit more than just give me some better, like more modern textures and better animations and stuff. You got to really put some additional TLC in it. And with Demon Souls, I don't know if we have that yet, but I guess we'll find out soon, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, again, it's going to be a launch title on November 12th. So if you're interested, $70 for that game. JD Gamer drops another $5 super chat and says, Pony's running around saying Sony not giving to you to do this or that. Sony doesn't care about you. They just want your money, and casuals are king, not the hardcore. Oh, that's 100%. Harry Balls drops an outstanding $5 super chat. Thanks for being here, brother. Super appreciated. He says Sony is not going to give its fan base BC for the older consoles. What would be the point when they can double dip with remasters and PS Now subscriptions? I mean, that's a great point. John B drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says games aren't old if never played. My backlog is long. Yeah, and you and a lot of people, dude. My backlog is ridiculous. Avish Plus Productions drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, you basically start over with the PS5 digital. Nothing comes with you, basically, then $69.99. I see no savings for a current me PS owner. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And, you know, we're going to actually get into that right now. Like, listen. If the second topic of today's is, I think, probably the most egregious conversation that we are going to have, and you know, we know that that Sony is the masters of marketing. They've done an amazing job this generation, but once again, the lies that Jim Ryan have told the entire community have been exposed. And of course, if that wasn't enough to derail the excitement the PlayStation community was supposed to have on Wednesday, we now have confirmation that if you are an owner of Spider-Man 2018, one of the highest selling PlayStation 4 games in the catalog, you will not get the free remaster upgrade according to GameRoute, where I pulled this story from. And apparently they got their hands on a public conversation on Twitter with Eric Monticelli. He is the director of production at Marvel Games, and he said, and basically he confirmed that Spider-Man PS4 Remastered wouldn't be free for the people who already own Spider-Man 4. So basically, Spider-Man for the PS4. So basically, Spider-Man won't support cross-gen upgrade, and that's a big problem. Now, here's the thing. We've seen cross-generation upgrades come to bigger games, The Witcher 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and several others, including Avengers and I believe Watch Dogs, Legions, that's coming out. They will all be supported. Now, here's the thing. Yeah, I'm sure that there's going to be. First of all, we're near 600 people, folks, and this is a record day for Breakfast with Boom. So thank you so much for supporting everyone on this panel, as well as if you're here enjoying this show, please hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe, because this is the kind of good, fun content you're going to get weekly. So the tagline for the players is something that they like to put up in their banners. They like to put up in their advertising. Well, if you are a PlayStation owner, if you own Spider-Man 2018, you might be asking yourself, well, Boom, how do I get this upgrade? Well, the easy answer is give me $70, because that's the only way that you can do it. And this has been confirmed. Miles Morales, the second Spider-Man story on its own, is $50. If you want the upgraded Spider-Man 2018 with the additional 3 exclusive suits, the added textures, ray tracing, extra puddles if you want it, you would have to give Sony $70. That's right, $69.99 will snag you the Miles Morales DLC / standalone title, as well as the 2018 remaster of Spider-Man. And that is the only way that you can get it. Okay, so now we have to get into what some in the industry are calling just disgusting, and some others that are defending this. It's just business, Mr. Boomstick XL. It's just business, and they need to make their money. And I'm concerned for Sony's well-being, is what I've seen. So, King, I want to go to you first on this because when I text you this, all I got was laughing gifs. All I got was laughing emojis. What are your thoughts? Because you talked about them putting a credit card on the side of the PlayStation 5. This conversation was a year ago, and people called you crazy. People called you a liar, and now it's confirmed. Older games will get remasters, versions that you will have to pay for on Sony's side of the business. What are your thoughts?
Told you. They don't do anything for free. I don't care what you say. You couldn't fool me into believing that they were going to give you that upgrade for free. I don't care how many people purchase. And it sucks. It sucks really bad because, Spider-Man was my game of the year when it came out. And for me to get any content to go back to play that same beautiful game, I would do so. If I thought that I was going over. See, this is my fear with these dudes. I had my PlayStation 3. I played The Last of Us, the first one, and I ended it, and I was like, yay, and then I got my PlayStation 4, and it was like, hey, we got The Last of Us again, remix, 4K, checkerboard, okay, but 60 frames per second. I'm like, what? Yeah, that's my money again, play the same exact game. All right, so I did it, and I just feel that they're just going to do that all over again for the first initial, a couple of months. And I just never thought they would give you anything for free, even if you own the game then. And it's basically probably a switch for all those people that already purchased. I mean, show good faith to the masses. Do I expect that from the DLC, Miles Morales? No, I don't. And I didn't understand why they didn't call it a DLC. But then when I started doing research in my brain, when I sat there as a businessman, I said, oh, yeah, of course they're not going to call it a DLC, because when you call something a DLC, you're lowering the value in the minds of the public. So you can't charge them full boat on a DLC. So what you're going to do is you're going to call it a standalone single player game in the vein of something else. You give them a thought. And they believe that the game has X amount of hours so they can justify how much they're going to gouge you for. They could have gave you Miles Morales, because when I saw the game, all I saw was a little bit more particle effects. People fail to realize how good Spider-Man really looks. Okay? They really do. And if you do have the Spider-Man, go back and check it out. Go see how fantastic the game is. I saw the Miles Morales. I saw a little bit more stuff that comes with more technique and more time with the system, that you're going to see these things come out. But I didn't see anything that I didn't think that could be done on my PlayStation 4 Pro. Then the news came out while I'm watching the show that it's coming out for the PlayStation 4. And I said, aha. So now the whole bamboozling starts here.
Yep.
So to cheat your masses by telling them, one, you got to spend $70 to get the game that you already own. You just hear what I'm saying. You own this game already. If you want ray tracing on your brand new PlayStation 5, you have to spend $70 to get something you own already, to get a visual boost in something that you paid for. So technically, you're paying $130 to get a DLC and some shiny graphics on a game that you have already. And I feel that's wrong. I feel that you have to vote with your dollar. And sometimes it's very hard, but you have to find it within yourself to stand on your square. Wait for the game to fall down in price if you want to go get it. Don't fall into the FOMO. The game will always be there, but vote with your dollar. Show them that you're not going to stand for this nonsense. I'm not telling you don't buy a PlayStation. I'm not telling you don't buy the game. I'm telling you wait until it's at its cheapest price that you can go in there to show them that you value your dollar. Because if you don't, they won't. ever will. But they'll take your high dollar and go do everything that they need to do with it. You know, you got to start showing more character. When you stand on something, when you stand for something, you won't fall for everything. But when you stand for nothing, you're going to fall for everything these companies do. And you tell us to demand more from Microsoft. Well, we have. And they're in their bag giving us grab bags of stuff, but you haven't. And you're getting swindled. And it's just sad to see. That's all. I want Spider-Man, but I'm not spending $70 to get something I have already.
Yeah, I mean, listen, obviously, I'll be the first one to say that, and I've said this before, and I will say it again on this show because it's important to me, and I think it's important to the community. Spider-Man Miles Morales, that character, Miles himself, is a character this world needs right now, and for so many reasons that I'm not going to get into because we don't talk politics. But his representation is important for many reasons. More specifically, I'm a fan of his character because of his background, because he has his own. He's just not another Peter Parker. He has his own story that we saw a glimpse of in the first Spider-Man. I love the character. I love what he stands for, and I want to continue that story. So if there would have been a full-on Miles Morales, and again, I can't say because I haven't played the game. I'm going to play the game on my PlayStation 5 because I'm a fan of Spider-Man. I'm going to platinum that game. There's no doubt about it. But I just think that what Sony is doing by not offering the people, the 15 million, and again, I want people to understand this for a second. I can't say that these 15 and potentially more million owners of Spider-Man 2018 are going to go out and buy PlayStation 5, especially now because of the financial crisis the world is suffering. So we don't know. See, Sony doesn't offer a pay per month program like Xbox All Access. Another failure for Sony, by the way. But the fact that they're not going to, for free, give the customers that already supported this game that upgrade and not even talk about it, not even discuss why they're not doing it, just simply say it again. King, you brought up a good point. I want to go to slow-mo next on this because this is where, and then of course I'm going to bring this back, the same conversation to Crispy because I want his opinion on this as well. If I recall correctly, and I'm not a boob, and I do recall, Insomniac themselves came out with a massive blog post talking about how Miles Morales would only be playable on the PlayStation 5. And that if you wanted to play the next story in his arc, you would need to buy a PlayStation 5. Again, lies. Okay? And I love Insomniac. You guys know how much I feel about that company. Ted Price, that's my man right there. I love what they do over there. But it's just straight up lies. Now, where that lie is coming from, I couldn't tell you. But on top of that lie, now you're telling me, and you're telling the 15 million people that bought this game, they can't get this upgrade for free. But if you want it, we're going to include it behind a $70 paywall.
Sucks.
And say, and here's the thing: I've actually seen people say, "Well, wait a second, Boom. They're giving you two prices. They're giving you two full games for $70. It's worth it." Wrong. It is not worth it. If you don't offer that upgraded version, I would even call it egregious slow-mo if they charge $20 for it because you have the game. What are your thoughts on this, bro?
Oh man! Well, first I didn't know about the Insomniac blog post, so they
they had originally posted that's when asked if this was coming to PlayStation 4, they straight up said, no, this is a PlayStation 5 exclusive game.
You know, as you said about Insomniac, I'm a big fan of theirs, and I did a big video on them a few months ago. still a great studio that probably is.
I love that studio.
At least in my opinion, the best studio that Sony has.
Hands down,
I know
the
that's
best
kind
studio.
of minority opinion, but I think none of their other studios can reach the same quality so quickly. Because like they're dropping 2 games, within the launch window, whereas the rest of Sony's studios are taking years and years to finally get another title out.
And Slow-Mo, they're supposedly working on Resistance as well.
Yeah, like that's a level of efficiency that
It's
you don't
crazy.
really see. So that said, I'm disappointed that is the case. That they said that. Now the whole thing with regular Spider-Man. All right, so it wasn't a few weeks ago, right? Everybody, the entire gaming community, whether you were a PlayStation fan, Xbox fan, Nintendo fan, PC gamer, a Stadia fan, all 12 of them, everybody was going in on Remedy and 505 Games and Control. And why? Because whether it was Remedy's decision or 505 Games' decision, someone decided it was the bright idea to take this game that barely sold anyway, quality game, barely sold, though never charted on any chart, NPD or whatever, never charted, but take this game and then force people to get a ultimate edition of the game in order to get next gen upgrades, and everybody cried foul because all these people who bought the regular game as well as the expansion will have to buy it again to get next gen upgrades. Now we see this with Spider-Man, and it's like
no one has said anything.
Say again.
No one has said anything, Slow-Mo.
Right. And so, like, I've seen it. I saw it yesterday. I tweeted out, we tweeted it like, yo, WTF, what is this? I see people tagging the guy that is in the DM. He's not responding. And I'm just like, so, yo, is somebody going to address this? Is someone going to, like, whether it's Sony, Insomniac, or Marvel Studios, is someone finally going to address the elephant in the room and speak up on this? Because this don't look good. Because essentially what you're telling me is that if I was of the mind that I don't quite want Miles Morales yet, and I certainly wasn't going to get the Ultimate Edition, I was going to get the standard, then I can't play the 2018, the 2-year-old version of Spider-Man with all the upgrades that will come with a PS5 without spending more money for Miles Morales again. I don't know whether I even wanted it or not. Like, that ain't how it works, man. I mean, it's how they do things, but how people in 2020 want their next gen upgraded, they like to see what Xbox is doing, what CD Projekt Red is doing, what even though it's Ubisoft, what Ubisoft is doing. They want to see that the game you purchased just a few months earlier or a year earlier is getting a free update to the next gen console. And it's not like you're changing game design here, okay? You're bumping up resolutions, you're adding ray tracing, which is already in the hardware. It's not like, I know I'm not a developer, but geez, come on. This isn't rocket science here. It's not like they're doing a ton of additional work to it. It's not that hard. It's not that intensive. They're not spending so much time on it that they actually have to charge you this money. It's when you see other developers and publishers not doing that, and then you see this, it's not a good look. And on a week of very bad looks, this is yet another one that's not a good look. So yeah, I really want them to address this as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and you know something, you're right. Again, to be honest with you, what's happening with Sony, Slow-Mo, is unprecedented. The amount of bad PR that has come out after this show that no one but the podcasting community is talking about. And I think that in itself is where the problem lies. I don't want to hear that, or people are scrambling. Don't make excuses, because again, if this would have been Microsoft, there would have been 10,000 articles up before the end of the evening about how Phil Spencer lied, about how the company is duping their consumer base, on how unconsumer friendly Microsoft is, and no one is calling foul in the mainstream media, and Sony has not even responded. That in itself is the big problem.
Absolutely.
My bad. Sorry, I had to.
No, that's okay, dude. It's fine.
Yeah, I do agree that I don't like the way this looks. I definitely want to see them respond on this sooner rather than later. I don't like how it seems like sometimes when it comes to stuff like this, and it seems like there is this delay in a response. And I'm like, look, you got a Twitter account, people are tagging you. If it's not true, say it's not true. Just come out and do it. The lack of a response kind of makes me kind of feel like you're trying to like create a statement to try to phrase it in the best light, which really didn't work out for 505 and Remedy when they did their statement. That just
that's a good point. Yep.
So yeah, it's wild. It's wild.
You know, Crispy, I want to bring you into the conversation because I know you're going to have a lot to say about this. Now, we know for an absolute fact that Microsoft has made it their personal business where they have told you what smart delivery was before you even knew what the console can do. Smart delivery was at the top of their list. Why did they say that? Because they wanted to make sure that they let people know they value your dollar. If you bought the game once, you shouldn't buy it again, right? That's what Microsoft has said. Well, Sony hasn't said anything, and now the message is clear. If you are a player of the 2018 Spider-Man, you should pop that disc in and get a notification to say, we're giving you the free upgrade, just download, which means that you can go play the game with all of the advantages. You can't do that unless you spend $70. Which is ridiculous. And I said this before and I'll say it again. Even if they would have given you the $20 option to upgrade, that is egregious. What are your personal thoughts on this, dude?
Well, let's just put it this way. I feel like I'm watching an episode of Maury and he's going, "That was a lie. That was a lie." and it's just, and we're going to be in on more of this. It's insane. The bad, I mean, we all know them to be good at marketing, and I feel like you can't follow any worse than you have right now. You just can't. First you say, you know, Miles is only exclusive to PS5. Now you can play it on PS4. Well, guess what? You got me to buy a PS4 now, but I haven't heard enough about, you know, frames per second, any of that stuff for any of the games that I haven't played. I don't know if I get a PS5, am I going to be able to play those PS4 games I haven't played? It's a constant cash grab for them. They want the money. Like, don't be surprised if all of a sudden they say, oh, well, now we're going to release Miles as a DLC. I'm just saying, you're going to take all this flack. They might as well just say, you know what, $40, here's Miles, and you pop your old place, you know, 2018 Spider-Man in there, and you could download Miles. That's what they probably should have done. It would have sounded a little more pro-consumer than this. I'm just saying, like, it boggles my mind that, you know, they continue. I mean, like, I gave the show an 8, but that's because they had great games in there. But the messaging, I already saw this was coming. I just didn't realize they were going to just be like, oh, yeah, well, this. Wait. You guys pushed all this and said all this, and now you're just going to complete total 180 and say, oh, no, you get everything. And we're going to get into this, but there's something going on in the background. We don't know what it is. You know, we have our inklings, and we're probably going to get into that. But it's just, why are you doing this to your player base? You have such a strong player base, and you're just making Microsoft look more and more pro-consumer. And it's just sad because this is not the Sony I remember. You know, Sean Layden, where you at, bro? You need to come save them. I'm just saying. come bring them back in reality here. We need some reality up in here, because with social media, everything else, with people coming to podcasts like ours and finally realizing, hey, there's something wrong here, and they might not say nothing, but they're thinking it. And you should think it, but you should speak up, because that's what we did with Xbox, and we still want our exclusives. Damn it, bring them to us. Let's see those AAA bangers, because I know they're coming, but let's see something. Come on, Phil Monday, let's go, baby.
Crispy, you're dead on. I've been telling people for a long time, this are not the same people that was in charge. Everybody's been removed. And if you expect a company to operate in the same form of fashion that you've loved, that's like going to a restaurant and you have your meal that's prepared for years, fantastic, by the same people. Now they franchise the place, and no longer are the same workers or the same people or the same manager. Nobody's the same, but the name on top is the same. Do you think that meal that you love so much that you got all the time was going to be as good? Do you think the service and the hospitality that you received before was going to be the same? No, there's different people in charge, and you are going to get a different level of service with a different manner of priorities. Jim Dance Moves Ryan is not Sean Layden. Sean Layden had a different sense of pride when it came to this company. Not saying that Jim doesn't. What I'm saying is Jim has different priorities. And when you come into office, and he just stepped into office, he's trying to establish himself. Like when he did the turnaround with the PlayStation Now, dropped the price, and we're putting games in there, and soon it's going to be date and games are going to PC. You're going to have to get to the part where this is the new dude in charge and is a new way of operating. Okay, so when you say, oh, I don't like the way that they're moving now, they're moving in a manner that I don't understand and I don't like. Well, get used to it, because those dudes are gone. And if you want the same level of service and the same level of expertise that you received before, go buy a PlayStation 3 and they got a console for you. But this console right now is not the console that you remember. And you better get used to it, because Spider-Man Miles Morales is a DLC. It won't fool me if new Horizon Zero Dawn Part 2 is, and they didn't say Part 2, they said a New Horizon, whatever, Wild Wild West, whatever the hell it is, that could be a DLC too. And don't tell me that God of War is not a DLC if the turnaround is only a couple of years later. Listen, they're using the same assets. They're going to pretty it up, and they're going to get it to you. You better demand more, because you made me do it. My company's doing it. Your company better do it. You better stand behind the same words that you push down my throat, push them back down yours. You see what happens when you spit up in the air? You catch it in your face.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I couldn't set it up any better. Real quick, Sean D, I want to get you in on this conversation, but let me just catch up on some of these outstanding super chats. A good friend of the show, Fastback OG from the NLG podcast, drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, what's the deal with the PlayStation 5 SSD support, internal, external? No, you know what? We have no idea, because they're not talking about it. And there's a reason why, because they're being shady. Good friend and generous friend of the show, Philly Eagle, is here. Welcome, my brother. He says, King David, do you remember that slide your card comment from a year ago? Laughing my ass off. You called it, bro. And indeed, we talked about that a second ago. You did. Smitty Smith shows his generosity once again and brings us back to church where we belong. I remember when Chris Hart said Sony will undercut Microsoft. Oh, come on with this chat. Hold on just a second. It's going so. I mean, we have almost 700 people here, folks. Okay, yes. This is unprecedented for Breakfast with Boom. He says, "Do you remember when Chris Hart said Sony will undercut Microsoft and be consumer friendly? Not today, Satan. LOL. The Book of X." I love that. I love Smitty Smith, man. He comes up with the best ones. We have a good friend of the show. LL drops an outstanding $5 super chat, says Demon Souls not coming to PlayStation 4 or any other platforms. PS5 only. Why is everyone freaking out? Hold on just a second, LL. I'm going to bring up a picture that proves that is another lie from Sony. And give me a second to pull it up while I get the rest of these super chats. And I'm gonna prove to you and everyone else, because I got called a liar on my last show about Demon Souls, and I have actual documentation that says otherwise. That will prove me right and also prove another lie for Sony. We have.
You mean that Demon Souls is definitely coming to PC?
Oh,
It
yes.
definitely is.
Yeah.
I love how they always say, like, you always know when it's going to go to a different platform, when this is what the developer or publisher says when it comes to it being exclusive on PlayStation. They always say, well, we would love to put X game on Y platform, but we don't have any plans to do that at this time. They always say at this time. So that's their out. So when they do it, you can't go back and was like, well, you lied. I'm like, well, no, we said we weren't have plans to do it at that time, which is as of whatever time you asked that question. As I had no obligation to tell you what was really going on behind the scenes, and it's all a legal thing because they signed a contract with Sony, and they don't want Sony coming down on them, their lawyers coming down on them if they say, hey, look, it really is going to PC in like a year.
Yeah.
Because and this is the way Sony does exclusive rights. We see it with other like games or companies where it's like take Epic Game Store on PC. They tell you up front it's exclusive to Epic Game Store for 3 to 6 months, then it's going to Steam. You know it, you have the choice. You can get it day one, or you could wait 6 months and be a Steam fanboy and wait for it to go to Steam. Cool. That's your choice. You know what it is. The way Sony wants to do it is they want you to be, they're trying to manipulate you into thinking it's only ever going to come out on PlayStation. So that you think, well, I gotta get it here because it's not going to come to anything else. They did it with Final Fantasy VII Remake. They did it with Death Stranding. And so now, me personally, I'm always the kind of person that's like, hey, I don't wait on my games. If I want to play it, I play Final Fantasy VII Remake on my base PlayStation 4. It muddy textures at 30 frames per second because I wasn't waiting. And I'm gonna double dip and get it on PC when it come out next year. But that said, like, I knew what they were doing, but there are people out there who don't know that's the case, and they're just like, there could have been someone who owned the Xbox, didn't own the PlayStation, but said, man, I gotta play Final Fantasy VII Remake, bought a PlayStation, played the game, and then there's gonna be an announcement saying, oh, well, that's coming to Xbox in 2021. They're just like, well, wait, what? See, it's that person that they do that for, the one that isn't completely dialed in and informed as we are. And it's at this point we can't fall for the okie doke no more.
No, absolutely not. First of all, Sean D, I'm going to come to you right now. We have Gene Mark Lewis drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, still waiting to see a physical PlayStation 5.
Boy,
you ain't lying. You ain't lying. Eagles fan 76, who's a very generous friend of the show, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, this is plain old deception. They knew the low-informed consumer won't know the worst part about this. Sony plays towards the toxic attitude in gaming. Yeah, they do. They definitely play to that card. It's very unfortunate. So, Sean D, the Spider-Man situation, again, I'm going to use the word for the third time, is egregious in every way possible. I think that if you own the disc, you should be given the ability to play the updated version on your PlayStation 5, but Sony has found a way to recoup some of the $100 plus monies that they're losing per console, and this is one of them, and it sucks. And it sucks for anyone who owns the game. 15 plus million people own this game. What are your thoughts on this?
So Slow Mo, King, and Crispy kind of hit everything, but I'm gonna give my opinion on it. Slow-Mo was talking about how this feels like Control, and that's the first thing I thought about. I was like, this smells just like the Control situation. Everybody was hopping down Remedy's throat, which I don't feel like it was Remedy. It's the publisher's fault. They control the money. That was 505's fault. So the people who were saying that this isn't Sony's fault, it's Insomniac that has the choice. No, they don't have the choice. They make the upgrade, but Sony dictates whether or not it's going to be for free or it's going to be a $20 attachment fee. As far as what King was saying, King was saying that Oh man, what were we saying? Hold on.
Which point?
Yeah, right. King was saying that Sony team has changed, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Sony's team has changed.
Management is completely different.
Sean Layden was the type of dude that was like their IPs are the most important thing to them. So we need to hold those tight. They didn't want to have that out anywhere else. Jim Ryan's thought process is, I'm trying to have both. I'm gonna make it look like it can only be on PlayStation. But in the background, I'm working out deals with PC. I'm trying to move this product. We trying to make the biggest amount of money we can get. They're gonna start coming to the whatever version of Game Pass they end up doing. It's gonna start coming to that too. Whether it be, I don't think it'll be day and date though, because day and date will start putting like it'll start putting a pinch on the amount of money they can get.
Well, their fan base would revolt if that was the case. Because
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think their fan base will revolt. I believe their fan base will just lay down and take it.
No, they'll love it.
They'll love it, and it's a level of money that's there. But go ahead, sir.
Yeah,
because I definitely got something for that. But I know Boom got that in deck too.
So they still want to make the money off of selling the game directly, but then they'll put it in their version of Game Pass like a couple months later, 6 months later, and they'll start slowly inching closer towards day and date, right? Then, as far as Crispy was saying that he just doesn't understand how people can just take this, and the thing is, that's the whole thing. Everybody always comes at Xbox guys. Why y'all just let Xbox do whatever they want? They just shitting on y'all. No, Xbox dudes are hypercritical.
Oh, yes, we are. Absolutely.
Sometimes overly critical, right? But we always say, hey, Phil, this ain't looking right. Give me this. I want this. I want this. And our platform has consistently changed this generation. If y'all want better, man, demand better. Otherwise, they're just going to keep giving it to you the way it is. They don't have to change if you don't say nothing about it. It's okay to be upset with the one that you like. It's like, do you think you're a fan because you go along with whatever they say? I guess you're a cheerleader, but if you're a fan, you're somebody who says, I want my platform to be at its best. When your platform does wrong, call them out on it. And that's it.
Yeah, and you're right. You are 100% right. Okay, so what I want to do is before we move on to this is the meat and potatoes of the show. There's no doubt about it. But I want to say two things. First of all, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, our very good friend Enrique, the voice of that show, which is amazing, and you should be subbing that channel. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, Sony messaging has been misleading and terrible. But from a content standpoint, they have a solid roadmap, Ratchet and Clank, God of War in 2021, etc. Yeah, listen, Enrique, dude, I'm not denying their content is going to be fantastic. It's why I own a PlayStation for their first-party games, but they need to do better. And I'm not talking about in the games aspect.
He's deflecting. That's a way to deflect. You know, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You're deflecting the bad behavior of the child. Don't take away from exactly what this child has done. He's done this. Don't talk about all the good stuff that he's going to do in the future. The hell with what that is. He may not even make it there. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. Nothing is guaranteed. Y'all keep telling me about what they used to do. Stop telling me about their old dance moves and what they used to be. Everybody has a used to be. That's not guaranteed. There's too much stacked against them. And I know what fear smells like. I know what it is. Remember, I used to box. So I know exactly when fear sets into the prey. I know what it smells like. I know what it looks like. I know the telltale signs. And when you start making excuses and deflecting, listen, man, the moves that they're making now is going to be detrimental.
Yeah, I agree.
You said it before when Microsoft had that mixed messaging. This is mixed messaging. This stuff right here, these lies and stuff can come back and bite a company terribly. And if you don't think it's true, just tell me in a year or two from now, who is the market leader and what's happening? Because right now, all Microsoft is doing is trying to make the best moves from the worst situations. And if everybody that goes to get a pre-order from Microsoft on pre-order day, and they can secure one without all the shenanigans,
and they're going to, yeah.
Boy, you are in trouble for being a fan, and not you yourself, because it sounds like I'm directly pointing at you. What I'm talking about is the company. Now, you never destroy an empire from the outside. It always implodes from within, and you're watching it implode.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, we're going to be talking about this for weeks to come. He actually dropped a super chat, a $5 super chat before that, and said, PlayStation exclusives on PC Master Race now. We're all dining well here on PC. 30 series, baby. Salute to the panel. Woo! So, yes, thanks so much for that, Enrique. Definitely appreciate that. And more importantly, the banter. But what I want to do real quick is, before I bring up the next topic, and again, it is the meat and potatoes, I want to bring up this picture. Now, this particular picture is pulled directly from the end of the Demon Souls trailer, which, by the way, Sony pulled down. And it says Demon Souls, shows the PlayStation 5. And you see that little line on the bottom? Well, you might not be able to read that, so I'm going to help you for the vision impaired. And I'm going to blow it up for you. So here you go. It says this, not available on other consoles for a limited time, available on PC. Now, we have heard numerous times that was a human error. We've heard that was a mistake. Folks, let me tell you something. There's no mistake in advertising like that. If you have someone working for you that makes a mistake that egregious, someone just lost their job. It's coming to PC. And you know what's even more interesting? It said coming to other consoles. Now, I don't know if it's going to come to Xbox, but it's certainly going to come to the PlayStation 4. There's no doubt about that. And God of War and Horizon Forbidden West and Spider-Man and all of their other first-party games that are coming out in the next 2 to 3 years will be coming out on the PlayStation 4 because they sold 110 million of those consoles. But let's get into the crux of this particular discussion and topic for the remainder of the show, because this is a big one. Now, look, I said this before and I'm going to say it again. In what was supposed to be a celebration, a festive event for the PlayStation price, release date, and pre-order, that happened. People celebrated. We got this information. Unfortunately, what we did get also is an aftershock that sent the industry into a tizzy. Now, here's the thing. The big question that everyone is asking is, did the head of PlayStation, the face of PlayStation, known as Jim Dancing Shoes Ryan, lie to its entire PlayStation fan base? And the answer is yes, he did. And some people, like I said earlier, could call him a straight up stone cold liar because he said a lot of things and he used the word generation. So what I want to do is I kind of want to jump into the Breakfast with Boom time machine and revisit the interview with GameIndustry.biz concerning the PlayStation 5 and the word generations. And this is what this, again, quoted from Jim Ryan in that interview. And he says this: we have said that we believe in generations. We believe that when you go to all of the trouble of creating a next generation console, that it should include features and benefits that the previous generations do not include, and that in our view, people should make games that can make the most of those features. He continues, we do believe in generations, and whether that's the DualSense controller, whether that's the 3D audio, whether it's multiple ways that the SSD can be used, we are thinking that it is time to give the PlayStation community something new, something different that they could really only enjoy on PlayStation 5. Now let's take a look at his recent interview, which happened directly after the show with the Washington Post. And this is what they had to say. Ryan said he expects for up to 4 years for the PlayStation 4 expected lifespan, which makes sense considering the console's large install base. The PlayStation 2 had a lifespan of 13 years, and developers continued to support it several years after the PlayStation 3 approached its middle age. And here's another quote from Jim Ryan. The PlayStation 4 community will continue to be incredibly important to us for 3 to 4 years. Many will transition to a PlayStation 5. We hope that if we do our job well, the tens of millions will still be engaged on the PlayStation 4. So here's my question to the chat. Here's my question to the panel. Why did they change, or more importantly, Jim Ryan change his ideology on generations? The easy answer is business. And I think King will agree with that. But at the same time, he lied to the fan base. He used what I am calling terror tactics to the community, telling you that you could not play the newest games unless you upgraded to a PlayStation 5, when that has been proven to be false. Now, some people will say, well, terror tactics, boom, that's going a little far. No, it's not, because he scared people into believing that they could only play Spider-Man Miles Morales and Demon Souls and Horizon Forbidden West and potentially God of War 2. I would even dare say that there could be a version of Ratchet and Clank. Now, whether you believe that or not, hey, that's up to you. I believe that every game could be played on the PlayStation 4 Pro or even the PlayStation Vanilla if they wanted to. But King, here's the big topic. He lied to the community. No one from Sony has responded about this. Himself has not addressed this. He's probably not going to address it, which makes it even more egregious. And what's worse, and I said this before and I'll say it again, I want to know when the mainstream media is going to call out Sony for this. What are your thoughts on everything that has exploded since this event?
Hey, guys. Remember that picture with Phil? He was on the stage. He was in the middle. He had Sean Layden to his left, and he had Reggie Fils-Aimé to his right. And I told you guys that Phil is smiling like he has a secret. Now, both of those heads of those other companies are gone. I believe Reggie Fils-Aimé is probably the realest gangster in Nintendo history in video games. I believe that they told him, look, listen, this is where the industry is going, and Reggie was like, hell no, I'm out. We do it this way, and this is the Nintendo way, and he left. I believe Sean Layden gave a hell of a fight. But for him to be out one day and then in that week the price drops on PlayStation Now, Jim Ryan is in place. I believe the heads of these companies are complicit in the Microsoft philosophy. And when I said that before, people said, King, you're crazy. Phil Dominus Maximus Aurelius Spencer has a blueprint to print money, right? Now, in order for this blueprint to work, you have to follow the steps. It breaks the mold from how it's normally done. So if your company stood on one square before, you're going to have to pivot at some point. You're going to have to change it around at some point in order to get your fan base used to the new way. Now, Jim may seem like he's lying, but he's not lying. Jim may seem like he's untrustworthy. It's not that he's untrustworthy. He has a board over his head. He has a mandate that he must get to. He must change a company and put it in a winning fashion to make magic money. Now, a lot of you guys, and I'm explaining what magic money is, all right? Magic money is to have someone pay for nothing physical. That's magic money. Because you can sell a ton of oxygen, a ton of data without making physical. That's magic money. Companies want to get to the magic money. Now, Phil made Game Pass. PlayStation will do something in that form of fashion.
Yeah.
Okay? It only makes logical sense to make magic money. Now, another form of magic money is putting your product in as many places as possible to continue the revenue stream and to reach a diverse level of customer that you would not have reached any other way. It's cool to keep selling to the same person, but you want to reach the person that's across town that doesn't know about you. That's the PC dude. Microsoft got to a point where they were selling their games everywhere. You can go in a Tesla and see Cuphead. We laugh, but they got a deal with Samsung right now that is in their TVs.
Yes.
They have a deal with, I just watched, I forgot this guy's name, but Samsung sent him a Note 20 with a Game Pass because they have a deal with Samsung. You have to change your business model in order to survive.
Yep.
Sony told you that you can only get your games in one area, and then you feel like you've been lied to. These games are scalable. That business model is no longer viable. We have over 100 million subscribers and people that are on our platform. We have their attention. It's a pandemic, people. Not too many people have enough money to go out and buy a PlayStation 5. But it's 100 and some odd million PlayStation 4 owners. We have to cater to our fan base. So every last one of those games that you saw, hell yeah. Let's get this money. And let's try to sell it to them digitally. Okay, I hear a lot of people tell me that Game Pass, you don't own the games. Do you think you own any of your digital games that you've purchased? Not one of them. If the server lights go out on your digital game today,
you're shit out of luck. Yep.
That's it. You can cry to no one because it says in the fine print, you know that stuff that you skip? You know, the stuff that you run down to the bottom and you don't read none of it. You own nothing. You're licensing it. And when they say it's up, baby. So listen, I know y'all want to say it's a sad day for Sony. I know you want to say that they didn't allow me enough time to get a pre-order. They trying to beat Microsoft to the punch. I don't care what you saying. This is business now. Now we in the business mode. This is the fight. Yeah, he tripped them. He tripped Microsoft. Okay. Everybody that was in the know got a PlayStation now. All right. And what they said was we're going to appease the crowd by allowing them to play all these games on their PlayStation 4. You was going to play it anyway. They just wanted you to get a PlayStation 5 first before they told you.
Yep.
So I know it sounds underhanded. I know it sounds dirty. And it might sound like I'm deflecting. I'm not. Call them out. Be vocal. Vote with your wallet. But I could tell you this. When a company tells you that they're about generations and then tells you out of the same side of their mouth that they're going to support the old platform for the next 4 years. Well, Microsoft told you they might do it for 1.5 to 2 years. They told you 4 years. Every last one of those bangers that you're claiming that can only be done on the PlayStation 5 and is going to expand. Okay, well, now it's going to be on your PlayStation 4 and your PlayStation 4 Pro. And I want to hear how your level design and your games is going to be held back by that slim, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, we're actually going to get. I mean, that's a great point. And King, I want to move that point right over to Slow-Mo. Slow-Mo, we have heard not just from the community, from the mainstream media, these jokers from IGN, these ass clowns from Kotaku, these half-wits, if you want to call, from some of these other GameSpot places, right?
Oh man, boom, half-wits.
Yeah, half-wits. That's right, half-wits that had run articles that Microsoft is holding the industry back. Microsoft is responsible solely for holding the entire industry back because their games are going to be available across generations, right? Well, now we hear that Sony is literally following the Microsoft blueprint. We heard, and Dr. Dinglenut in the chat said something to the effect.
Wow. Wait, what?
Dr. Dinglenut in the chat said they also went on record saying that Miles Morales was built from the ground up for the PlayStation 5. Okay, Sony said that, but more importantly, Insomniac said that, right? Good friend of the show. In fact, he is the sheriff keeping all of the morons out of this chat. What do you call it? Lethal Papa actually said something in the chat. I don't remember what it was now because the chat just moved. He said if I recall correctly, he said Xbox holding back the industry, or now PlayStation is now holding back the industry because of the less powerful PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro. You know, apparently that is not a thing. I said this before. The lies keep coming out, and the lies that they've told so many of them, Slow-Mo, since the end of this event that was supposed to be a celebration of PlayStation, that I don't know if this is going to damage or not damage the company, but I need to see people call them out. And I'm not talking about just the podcasting community. I want to see the same people write the same goddamn articles that they wrote on Xbox against PlayStation. My question is to you, did Jim Ryan lie to the community?
He definitely did. And that just wasn't the only lie. I mean, hey, look, I got a quote here from Jim Ryan where he said that and I quote, "No one should be disappointed. The PS5 versions of those games are built from the ground up to take advantage of the PS5 feature set, and we have an upgrade path for PlayStation 4 users to get to the PS5 versions for free. It's about people having choice. I'm really quite pleased with the situation." So look, I don't have a problem with that philosophy. I don't have a problem with that at all. But don't blow smoke like that when that's not what you were saying before. Also, actually, I do have somewhat of a problem with that because he said they were built from the ground up on the PS5. So what you're telling me is that you have two different builds, completely developed builds for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Is that what you're saying? Because to something that reminded me when King was talking about Horizon Zero Dawn. So Guerrilla Games came out a little while after the game came out and said that they wanted to implement like a glider or some kind of flying.
Yes, to get around the world quicker. They could not. They were being held back by the bottleneck of the PlayStation 4.
Exactly, because that Jaguar CPU is way too sluggish to be able to do that with the Decima engine. Now, I wonder if you're really doing, as he said, games completely built for the PlayStation 5, then are you telling me that Guerrilla Games is going to implement that glider mechanic in Horizon Forbidden West, but it will only be available on the PS5 and it just won't be there on the PlayStation 4, a la kind of like Shadow of Mordor, where they didn't have the
Nemesis system.
Nemesis system, right? The 360 and PS3 weren't capable of doing the Nemesis system. It was too much for that particular piece of hardware. So is there not going to be a glider in Horizon? In Horizon Forbidden West, is that what we're saying? See, like it doesn't seem like that's the case. And I gotta call him out. There's no other way about it. I do agree with you about some in the media who were quick to say, well, you know, this is being held, like Xbox is holding back next generation, but they so far haven't really said so in regards to PlayStation coming out and basically having a lot of games that we thought were PS5 exclusive also being on PlayStation 4, therefore letting you know where the scope of the game design was for that game without actually having to play it yet, because it's got to be playable on the older hardware. And as we understand, when it comes to lowest common denominator, you build your game based off of the weakest piece of crap you got to put it on. And that weakest piece of crap is this 2013 PlayStation 4 I got sitting right next to me. So that's what you got to build for, and that limits the design, that limits what you can do, like the limits that you could take it with that Zen 2 CPU. You got very advanced hardware in there. You got RDNA 2 GPU in there. That limits it. You have all this additional RAM, far more than what is it, a 1.4 teraflop device here. You know, it's so much that that we can say about that. I mean, it's almost overwhelming how much misinformation we're kind of getting. Like,
it almost seems, I would dare say that it almost seems like, Slow-Mo, there's two different Jim Ryans talking.
He got a doppelganger.
Maybe it's his twin brother that ties him up at night and takes over for him, and then he somehow gets loose and ties that brother up and puts him in the closet and comes back and talks about a different messaging, because it does sound. I mean, I didn't even see that quote that you quoted, as a matter of fact. And if you wouldn't mind, again, but let me just catch up on some of the super chats. I'm going to bring Crispy Bomb in, because I know that Crispy is going to have a lot to say on that particular comment, because I didn't even see that. We have Gene Matt. What was that?
I just want to say one thing real quick.
Yeah.
The games look amazing.
Like, no one's taking away from that.
I don't want anyone to get the impression that we're saying these games look like bird droppings. No,
they don't.
These games look great. Like, I can't wait to play these games. That said, we have to separate what the executives say and how they try to mislead you from what the developers are doing behind the scenes. It's not the developers' fault that the marketing is trash. And in regards to you saying Jim Ryan, almost there's two different Jim Ryans. You guys remember what he said about old games?
Oh, I certainly do. During that conference, he's like, who would play old games? Look at that.
Right. And then once they started to adopt more backwards compatibility, Jim Ryan's quotes changed drastically.
Yeah.
This is all business. They're going to tell you what you need to hear at that time to sell you on whatever they need to sell you at that time. If it contradicts what they said 2 months ago, so be it. It ain't a Sony thing, ain't a Microsoft thing, it damn sure ain't a Nintendo thing. It's a everybody thing. They all do it. It doesn't. If the new directive is, hey, look, man, we going all in on backwards compatibility. But I just said, I mean, I was capping hard for this. I just said, who wants to play the old ugly ass games? Well, Jim, get out there and flip it. All right then. They're gonna do and say what they need to say to sell you on whatever it is they need to sell you right then. And that's just the long and short of it. It doesn't matter which company it is. It's a platform. It could be. The only one I would say probably doesn't do that. Actually, I can't even say that. Like, I was about to say CD Projekt Red, but I still don't know how that multiplayer thing is going to turn out. So, like, let me not even say that about them. It's just they all selling you a product. They're not your best friend. They're not your friend. They're not your buddy. They're not your girlfriend. They are they're a guy, an executive who has a job and he's trying to keep it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Real quick, Gene Mark Lewis drops another outstanding $2 super chat. Says, Sony fans, he did me dirty, but he still loves me. That's what he says. And then, yes, you know what? It's kind of like an abusive kind of a thing maybe going on over here. Flamish drops an outstanding $5 super chat. It's even worse than I thought with the PlayStation 5 multiplats versions are more expensive than Xbox. Please explain this move. Also, Game Pass will drive the masses. Yeah, you know what? The $10 price hike on all of their first-party games is something we're going to cover on Prime Time. And yeah, they did that without even telling the community, which sucks. Geekhead188 drops an outstanding a $2 super chat and says, "What's happening? Or what happened to Elden Ring?" I just don't think they're ready to talk about that just yet. I think that's the reason why we haven't seen anything. We also have, we have DJ Birdo DOS drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, "Sony can't do no wrong in these ponies' eyes. Pathetic." I mean, listen, I really don't like the whole ponies and bots thing. But I see exactly what you're saying, dude. Eagles fan 76 drops an outstanding $5 super chat. And sorry to inform you, big company marketing team, have legal these things from marketing go back to the legal team. Legal team approves and send it back. Yeah, it does seem like that's what's going on for sure. Basement Radio Arcade Podcast drops another very generous $5 super chat and says, facts as it relates to Sony today. You have two things that are facts: botched pre-order, misleading messaging, and solid content roadmap. You do, but again, the solid content is something you can expect. What we didn't expect from Sony was the constant changing of the position and the mismessaging, the mismarketing. And again, I want this to be clear. If this would have been Microsoft, the entire world would have stopped on a dime. And there would have been 1,000 articles on how they are destroying the industry from within, and no one is saying anything. I'm going to bring this point to Crispy in a second. Thanaros, a very good and generous friend of the show, drops a $5 suggestion that they probably realize the amount of money they're going to lose selling the PlayStation 5 at a loss. Got to make it up. Got to make up that loss quick and easy. Yeah, as unfortunately, it appears like it's going to be on the back of the consumer. Clutch Man 01 drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "Is it true you have to remove the panel to get inside and switch insert NVMe cards for the PlayStation 5? I honestly don't know, dude." We have a $1 super chat from Warlocky71. Thanks so much for being here. And of course, thanks for your generosity. And we also have a new channel member. Sean Leonard drops it becomes a channel member of the Double Barrel Gaming. Thank you so much for that. So, okay, Crispy Bomb, you've had a chance to sit and simmer with the everything everyone said, and that last quote from Jim Ryan that I didn't even have in the show notes. So, Slow-Mo, thank you for bringing that. Does this prove that they have a plan, and if they have to lie about that plan, they're going to do it?
That was the lie. This is just where, and we call it out all the time. 2013, Donnie
D.
You know, but we call him Donnie D. But you know, he was so bad. Oh, if you want to play this, you could buy the old console. It's one of those things where I think Mr. Aurelius, that's what I'm going to call him now, because you know King has knighted him. He said, "I'm just going to take your knees out with that Series S real quick," because these backdoor things, they could have known what Sony was going to go with, and they wanted probably to go a higher price, okay, for both consoles, in my opinion. So what happened is they were like, okay, we can take zero loss and be at 300 for the Series S. We're giving you a next gen experience because you're going to be able to play at a higher frame rate. And if you have a 4K TV, it's going to upscale just like the PS4, which PS4 Pro, which I mean, a lot of people think looks pretty darn good. I mean, a lot of people don't have a problem with what they've done. So you go and you put that price point out there. Well, it looked like Jim Ryan just in that showcase didn't get much sleep. I'm just telling you. All right. Because all they did was probably have board meeting after board meeting. What are we going to do? We need to drop the prices. So to have $100 difference between a digital and physical makes absolutely no sense because they are a part of Blu-ray. Okay,
they own it.
They're bought. They're invested in.
Yeah, they're invested into it.
Yeah. So they get a cheaper price on the disc drive than probably Microsoft does.
Mm-hmm.
What has just transpired is they said we have to hit at least 400. It's a more powerful console. We have to hit 400, but we're going to take a loss. Now you go to the pre-orders. You drop the pre-orders right after the show, basically, and then you put all this negative stuff out there, and people bought them up like nothing. Problem is, a lot of people couldn't even get it. And if you wanted the digital, it was like 3-1 for the physical.
Mm-hmm.
That's because they're making money off the physical. Okay, they all of a sudden up the price to $70 of the games.
Mm-hmm.
This is all because they had to make up for it. And then you get to the PS4 getting all of these games they said could not play on the PS4. And this all comes into one big circle of we screwed up, you know, and they screwed up and they backtrack on it. Now, Phil's sitting here saying, I'm solid on everything I'm doing. He's sitting right next to Satya. Microsoft has the backing for Xbox. They said, you know what? We're going all in. Even if you look at that new Surface Duo, that thing is incredible already. It's kind of weird for a phone, but it looks pretty darn cool. And I just saw somebody, it was playing Stadia and xCloud on the same phone. It's like, say what?
Mm-hmm.
Their technology, the R&D, everything else, the servers, you're going to see it all come into play as we get into this generation. You know, like I said, we need those exclusive. I mean, we've seen some of them, but we want to see more. All right, we need those. But my faith in Phil, the gamer, because he is a gamer, and he has seen the generations go from one side to the other, from 360 to Xbox One, from PS3 to PS4. You know what I mean? He's seen the follies, and he said, "I'm going to stand on my island. I'm going to plant my flag." And I'm going to say, I'm doing this the way I want to do it. And you know what? It's for the gamers at the end of the day. Because you're paying $15 a month. You get Xbox Live, xCloud, and you get Game Pass. And you get all these games. You get day and date exclusives. And as they come out in the next couple years, it's just going to be like I saw PS4. PS4 did not start out with a bunch of exclusives. Xbox did. But their messaging for Xbox was bad. Their price point was bad. And we're seeing it just completely turn around the other way. And yes, Xbox does have a different model. They don't care what Sony's doing, but they still like to throw that shade sometimes because they've been getting hit hard for a long time. It's time to bring it back.
You know, it's funny. One of the things you forgot to mention that was just recently added, EA Play.
That too
into that scenario, which is again, it just raises the bar for what Microsoft is offering their customers, and not just their old customers, their new customers that are going to come over. Because, like I said this before, and I'll say it again, the market leader, the guard is changing. I don't care how many first-party games they have, because. Listen, the fact of the matter is very simple. First-party games sell to about 15%. If you want to go crazy, if you want to really let your hair hang all the way down, say 25% of the market buys first-party games, I'll even give you that just for shits and giggles. The truth of the matter is that it's 15%, but I'll give you your 25. 25% of the market buys first-party games. That is it. The other 75 to 85 to even 90% is casuals, and they buy what? Third-party games. And what drives the sales of these consoles is price, not HD versus no HD, or mine has a better P than yours. No, this is where Phil's plan is going to come into effect. But I don't want to get too far off topic. Sean D, listen, at the end of the day, Jim Ryan lied to the masses. He told us that you were going to be left behind because the new games were being built from the ground up for the PlayStation 5, and that you as a consumer needed to move to a new platform. And in doing so, they were not going to allow you to have full on backwards compatibility. Hell, we don't even know what games are available to play. Now, we know they added 15 games that you can download if you're a PlayStation Plus member, but we don't know if those games are going to have advances. We don't know if the PlayStation 5 is going to if these games are going to take advantage of the PlayStation 5. Again, if you remember Jim Ryan's quote regarding shifting PlayStation 4 and transitioning PlayStation 4 players over to PlayStation 5, we need to shift PlayStation 4 owners to PlayStation 5 the fastest we've ever done in the history of our company, which means that they were going to use anything, including the kitchen sink, to get you there. So at the end of the day, the big question is, did Jim Ryan lie, and are they continuing lying to their consumer base?
Yeah, he lied, and he's going to have to continue lying, and I'm going to explain it right now with that. So Sony is trying to change to the Microsoft style model, right?
Mm-hmm.
But see, Microsoft, as much as people got on them for the 2013 debacle, that was actually a prime time to put this into action, because it's way easier to change things up when everything is already looking bad.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, Phil just ripped the Band-Aid off right away. He said, hey, stuff's coming to PC. That's just how it's going to be from now on. Everybody was already upset. Did they make more people upset? Yep. Did some people in the community flip over to the other side? Yep. But that was the best way to go about it, because you put it out there right in the face of the fans. Fans either have to accept it or reject it, right? But once they've accepted it, you can move forward with your plan. Jim Ryan's in a tougher situation because Sony's been leading the entire generation.
Yep.
So he doesn't want to piss off the old school mindset. So he has to talk out of both sides of his mouth. He has to keep you happy over here by saying, hey, we respect exclusives and we're going to keep them strictly on our console and everything like that. Meanwhile, he's still got to try to start putting out stuff on the other places. So that's why he oh yeah, we put out Horizon Zero Dawn on PC, but that game's old. Y'all don't care about that anymore, right? That was 5 years ago. So everybody go, yeah, he's right. It was 5 years ago. Good, you know? Then he goes and puts God of War up there, right? And that was a lot faster than 5 years, right? When he did that test of it.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, oh, well, he's just testing it. That's not permanent. You don't got to worry about that. God of War ain't going day and date. Y'all are going to be surprised when that PS5 really get moving, man. That stuff is going day and date, bro. That picture you saw with the Demon Souls, people still keep saying that ain't bro, that thing is coming, man. It's coming to PC, man. I'm telling you. And it's okay. Just because it's on PC don't mean you can't enjoy it on your PS5. But what's going to end up happening is
even more crazy that there's no reason why that remaster or remake, I'm sorry, I keep saying remaster, remake can't run on a PS4. You know it's coming to the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, it's going to come there too. And it's okay, like I said. But what's going to end up happening is the one who's going to win is going to be the one with the more powerful option with the better price. And Microsoft has said they are not losing power anymore.
Nope.
They are not losing price anymore.
Yep.
So once it's all everywhere, look, I'm going to tell you this. I wouldn't be surprised after this generation, after the PS5 and Xbox Series generation, we don't start seeing Game Pass on PlayStation and whatever Game Pass that PlayStation have on Xbox. I wouldn't be surprised. Because in the end, it's about making the money, right? Like King was saying, that magic money, that's everything. All people in business, they know what they really want to shoot for is a product that is not physical, because you cut out all the middlemen.
Yeah, and you make more money on the back end. Listen, there was one other particular topic we didn't get to, and that was regarding the debacle. of the PlayStation 5 pre-orders that they stealth dropped, even though they told us that they were going to, it was going to be the next day. What I'm going to do is, it's a conversation again. It's worthy of a conversation. So I'm going to move that particular topic over to Primetime Gaming, because none of my mates over there had a chance to talk about it. So we're gonna get into it. You already know my opinion on it. David Pyers drops an outstanding, very generous $5 super chat. Says USA Today. See, this is how you know it's a big deal. Says Walmart announced more pre-orders for the PlayStation 5 tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, folks, if you are on the outside looking at your PlayStation 5, you know, you can go to at least Walmart. I don't know if the site's going to be ready for it. It's going to crash, but it apparently, according to USA Today, it is going to be available at 8 p.m. And again, this has been a great show, because we as community members that represent the people, the near 700 people we had in today's chat. So thank everybody for coming out. Of course, I want to thank you so much for the outstanding generosity that continues to come in. We had a new channel member today. We had a ton of super chats, so thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. And we had a chance to get our voices out there. Now, who is going to hear this? I don't know. Hopefully someone from Sony is listening, but they need to address this. And more importantly than Sony needing to address this, I think the mainstream media needs to be put on blast. Because if they try to cover this up, if they don't run articles on what Sony is doing, we as the community need to tell them they have to do better. Because again, I hate making this into an us versus them, but if they don't address this, if they do not start running articles and asking the hard and tough questions, it is going to really make people aware that this industry is severely run based on Sony being the market leader and not the Xbox brand. I think that if someone does something wrong, regardless of whether it's your favorite brand or not, they need to be held accountable. Sony lied. They lied consistently, and not just about one thing. They lied about a ton of things that we covered, and some things that we didn't cover that we're going to get to on Primetime Gaming. But let's get to the outros and get everyone out of here. And King, we'll start with you. Obviously, Sunday's ILP is going to be, let me use the word correctly, lit for sure. We know that Cognito is not going to be hosting. It's going to be Sovereign that's going to be doing hosting duties, but don't fret. Cog is going to remotely pop in from where he is to make sure that his voice is heard. King, tell everyone not only about the Iron Lords, not only about lordsofgaming.net, which is exploding on the scene, but of course, your king of statues. Break it down for us, man.
Well, you can catch me tonight at 9 p.m. on Darth Castle X. That is DCX open mic. It is the best known statues show in the universe, to be honest with you. We talk statues, comic books, video games, anything entertainment related. It's a good chat with guys talking big money, because these statues aren't cheap. You can catch me at ILP Sundays at 1 p.m. Oh, well, sorry, 11 a.m. now that football season. Yeah, I don't get that whole quarantine. Football should not be counted. I'm upset that I got to wake up at 11 o'clock to do this. I like it at 1 p.m. But yeah, boom. It's always great being here with you guys. You know, Slow Mo, Crispy, nice meeting you, Sean D. You know, talking about this stuff, it kind of hurts, because you have a segment of the populace that wants to believe in something. And listen, man, I've been trying to tell you guys, no matter what, you can have your allegiance anywhere, but understand, have your allegiance to yourself first and foremost. Show your dollars count. Don't discount yourself. Don't say, well, you know, they're not going to change over my little $60. If you have that mentality, it will never change. All right. So know that, yeah, you can enjoy your games. Remember, this is a hobby, but you control your hobby. Don't let your hobby control you.
Yeah, no, and that's a great point. And obviously, yeah, you can catch King this Sunday on the Iron Lords podcast. Goes live 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, of course, while the football season is on. And who knows? It could be canceled. You go back to 1 o'clock. Who knows? Slow-mo, I want to get some eyes over to your channel, because I think that what you do over there is not only amazing, but it's unique, because you talk about gaming in a way that I think is interesting. I think it's thought provoking, and I want to, again, carry you on my back to cross 1,000 subs. So if you appreciate the kind of work that I do, I think for sure you're going to appreciate Slow-mo and his work. So get over there, get into the show notes. All it is takes about 3 clicks, and sub his channel. I highly recommend it. Slow-mo, tell everyone about your outstanding YouTube channel, but also what other shows they can find you on and where they can meet you on social media.
Well, absolutely. And first off, thanks, Boom, for the invite. I was just, sitting here plugging away at work, and you hit me up and asked me to be on, and I said to be on and talk about gaming instead of, configuring Cisco routers. Why not? I'd rather do that instead. So I appreciate the invite. Cool to meet Sean D. It's always cool to chop it up with King and Crispy. So yeah, great time, a great chat. It was a great show. You guys can catch me on my own YouTube channel. It's the same name, Slow-mo Backslap, and I like to focus in on developers, their process of developing games, as well as all the features of the game itself. So it's a little bit different than how other people do it, but I love to do my research on the engines they use, their process, their production flow, all that stuff. I find old footage, and I find interviews, and I take quotes from it. It's a little different, check it out if you like it. Subscribe if you do. And I also, Tuesday nights, I do a co-host podcast thing, a duo podcast with Gaming Forte. As if you follow Boom's channel, you know who Gaming Forte is. Actually, if you follow any YouTube channel that does
wow,
who Gaming Forte is, because he's everywhere. You can't get rid of him. You go to sleep and he's like podcasting in your head and your sleep.
But he's coming to you in your dreams.
Exactly. Right? But shout out to my homie. We do a co-podcast Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's on my channel and his. We just alternate back and forth. It's a good time. We're on our second episode. It's a lot of fun. And you could also catch me on Brap with Enrique, Eric Jackson, B Money, and Forte, as well as Scumcast. Oh, the Legion of Scum. Scumcast is awesome on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Easterns. It's wild. It's craziness. We're all just really digging in on each other. It's just a lot of fun. So come check us out.
Well, listen, dude, obviously you're very busy. And I really think that people need to come over to your channel and sub it. I think that you have been doing this a long time. And like I said, what you do is unique and interesting. And really, at the end of the day, when you want to listen to something, you want it to be different than what everyone else is doing. And I think that's what you bring with your channel. So thanks so much for being here. As always, always a pleasure to work with you. Next up, Crispy Bomb, someone that is just as busy as, of course, our very good brother, Gaming Forte, because he's not only on Breakfast with Boom, he's on the next podcast, which recently moved to, I believe it's 8, was it 7 or 8? I always get it wrong, on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you're also a part of a little program run by our very good friend, the graphic god, called Retro Renegades. Tell everyone about these programs, but also where they can find you on social media.
Oh, shout out to these guys. Shout out to the chat. The chat was great today. It was really great conversations. You can have a little tit for tat, and I always love that. It's at Crispy Bomb on Twitter. Crispy Bomb 28 Xbox Live. Hit me up. I do play games. Yes, I can teach you how to play Gears. Yeah, and Retro Renegades Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Find me on next podcast, 7 p.m. Thursday night. You can find me here in Breakfast with Boom. And I just want to say this. I am happy that Sony did this. Kill the narrative, okay? Don't leave your players behind. Let's rejoice in this. These people that can't get the PlayStation 5, they are going to be able to play these great games, and that's what matters.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fantastic point. People will not have to, again, people will not have to upgrade or feel left out if they already own a PlayStation 4, and that is a big deal. Hopefully, most of their big first-party AAA bangers will be available for both consoles, giving players options. And options for players is super important. Sean D, before I get to you in your outro, a lot of super chats have come in, and the generosity continues to blow me away. We have Jedno Floristo drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat and says, every corporation goes through it eventually. Microsoft learned and improved. Now Sony's turn. They're looking over Microsoft's shoulders for answers. That is a strong opinion and a great point. We have J-Dub is a shill. Drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, hey, Boom, is Arnold around to make a public service announcement? See, here's the thing. Not this week. Hopefully next week. The problem is that he turned down the 50 cents check. Now he wants $2.50. So I'm working on we know our camps are going back and forth to have Arnold come back on for not $2.50, but we'll have him on hopefully very soon. He's getting a little expensive because he's getting old and no one's hiring him to make movies. I think that might be what the problem is. Let me see. We got a couple other super chats that have come in. Wow, a couple of big ones have come in. First of all, Rain G4, a very generous friend of the show, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, remember when the PlayStation 3 came out and Madden and NBA 2K ran and looked better on the 360, and diehard Sony fans were pissed. Most gamers play multiplats. And I said that before, and that's a great point. I believe that multiplats still reign supreme. Gamer by Choice brings in a very generous $10 super chat and says, came in late, but just showing support. Well, thank you as always, dude. Super appreciate that. We have, wow, a $20 super chat that came in from the WHT Do Baby. Thank you so much for being here. Of course, thank you for your generosity. Wow, that is very nice of you. He says great shows, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. We have Viper XT, a very generous friend of the show. He drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, here late, we'll listen later. One quick question. Can we really say Sony has two prices for consoles when if they only produce such a low percentage of the digital version? That is a strong opinion. So Sean D, listen, thanks so much for being here. I know I reached out to you super late and you jumped on. It's always great to work with you. And again, the magic that you bring with you. We had almost 700 people in this particular podcast. And when you were on Wednesday, we had nearly 800 people in the live chat. Breaking numbers seems to be the thing that you do. Do me a favor, brother. Let's get some eyes and ears, and not Mark Cerny's ears, by the way, to your YouTube channel as well as you on social media. Tell everyone about that, my friend.
So you guys can reach me on Twitter and on YouTube under Sean D. Thanks for having me, guys. It's great chatting with you every time. Anytime you call me out, Boom, if I'm available, I will be there.
Definitely appreciate it.
I'll continue to be that lucky rabbit's foot.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just want to leave the Sony guys with one thing. Please call out your platform.
Yes.
Okay. That does not make you not a fan. That makes you a real fan because you want the best for your platform. And that's it, man.
Well, listen, dude, it's always great to work with you. And yes, you will be back on, not just because you're a rabbit's foot, because you bring a lot of good information to the channel. I love the banter. I love the opinions. And once again, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to wish you a fantastic weekend. And I want to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully, it will be one day important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me. Life lessons go a long way. And I think that in the world that we are currently in, these two particular life lessons not only sit well with me, but I think sit well with the world that we're talking about. And he said, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Be smart. Wear a mask. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom, which, by the way, is going to be my 50th birthday. Yes, that's right. I'm going to be 50. It's going to be Boom's birthday bash, and Mrs. Boomstick and I are giving away $150 worth of gift cards to you. That's right. It's going to be my birthday, but you are getting the gifts. So make sure you're here next Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week.